order. Everybody is present. If there's no objection, we'll accept, we'll just have the agenda accepted as is, and there's no, unless somebody objects, we'll go ahead and call for a vote if necessary. Hearing none, any citizens' comments at this time? Do we have any citizen here that would like to speak? All right, hearing none, it doesn't look like Andy Gilly is here, along with our public works director. We don't since there's no citizens' comments, we have 3 resolutions tonight on the agenda.
Do we need to approve minutes?
Yes, we do, and thank you very much. Because I was like moving right across on
All right.
The citizens, the minutes of the June 27th, 2023 meeting minutes. I need a motion.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, there's been a proper motion. Any discussion or addition or deletion? Hearing none, is everybody ready to vote? All in favor of the June 27th, 2023 meeting minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously. And I've got 2 more weeks with this thing on. So the next time you all see me, I won't have it. I just cannot wait. So I just can't stand to have it. I don't even know how we survived COVID with it. But anyway, okay. Let's go to ordinances and resolutions. We have, like I said earlier, we have 3 resolutions this evening. The first resolution is a resolution accepting the dedication of the completed streets of Winbrook, Phase 6. Okay, I need a motion.
Motion. Second.
Okay, there's a discussion. There's been a proper motion and a proper second discussion. Sarah, anything on those?
No, the Public Works Department and Planning have both reviewed this phase, and they have some minor maintenance issues that they're working through, but we do have the 1-year maintenance period after the city accepts it. But all of the infrastructures met our expectations
Okay.
requirements.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor of resolution 2023-30, a resolution accepting the dedication of the completed streets of Winbrook, Phase 6, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it passes unanimously. And that goes on to the, does it go to planning and then us?
It'll go, yes, that's right.
Okay, all right, then it's on its way to the planning commission and then it'll come back to the board of mayor and aldermen.
That's right.
The next resolution that we have is resolution 2023-31, which is a resolution authorizing the city's Department of Parks and Recreation to apply for the Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthy Place Grant. I need a motion.
Motion. Second.
Okay, there's been a proper motion and proper second. Discussion, Mr. Gill.
Sure. This grant is something we've applied for. This will be the 4th time.
Okay.
We hope one year we'll get it. When they started these, they gave out 8 per year at $1 million, and then last year they gave out 1 for $8.5 million.
Wow.
So we're asking for $1.5 million. Copy of what the project could look like is in your packet. On page, I believe it's page 14. And it is a grant where they would pay for the whole thing. We may have to be reimbursed, but they would pay for the whole thing.
Okay. And okay, let's do that.
And this is the same project that we submitted for last year at Volunteer Park.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So have you looked, Andy, at what has been approved and what they seem to like in the applications?
It is, yes, sir. We have. It has been various things. They have done anything from outdoor fitness to fields to all-inclusive playgrounds to a combination of things. So we're trying to hit some of the factors that they seem to have liked all in one. In this case,
Is this the same thing as we did last year?
it is.
So we didn't make any changes based upon But need to sweeten it a little bit.
The only change we made is the city went back to Blue Cross as their insurance provider this year.
That's sweet.
And truly, they have, if you look at who's gotten these, there's not been many in Middle Tennessee yet. They have targeted lower income areas first. I will say that. But at some point, a city of our size with our needs has got to be on their list. We've met with them after the application process twice via phone and kind of tried to ask, what could we do better? And you don't get much feedback on that.
Yeah.
We've talked to some of the people. When you do these, they have required vendors that you have to use with them. And we've talked to some of those suppliers and vendors who have personally spoken on our behalf saying we need to get one of these one day. So I know that they've met the people that picked the grant have made the comment that we sure are persistent. So I'm going to keep knocking.
What about the inclusive playground? What does it envision? What do you envision?
It's in here. It basically would be taking the playground that we have in place and replacing some of the equipment to make it inclusive, and expanding the footprint of the playground and redoing the surface so that it becomes all inclusive. Because right now it's be hard in a wheelchair to access that playground.
And what would be done at Heritage Park?
With this, there would be nothing. This is just a volunteer park. We applied one time for Heritage Park. We applied for Veterans Park. We've applied for several things, but this will be our second time for this one.
Oh, I saw Heritage Park. Is that the next one? You think that's the next one?
No, I'm saying in the background section on page 12, it just lists one of the applications that we did a couple of years ago was for worked at Heritage Park, and we didn't get that one. I just in the
Okay.
background I listed the ones we'd applied for.
Okay. So all of this will go to volunteer park.
Yes, sir. It would be a turf field beside the hockey rinks. It would complete the walking trail around the field where we kind of had to stop it because of when we were building the hockey rinks. We had to cut that sidewalk off to save money to put towards the water line, and then it would be all inclusive playground.
All right. Any other questions?
Thanks for being persistent.
We'll keep trying.
Yeah,
We'll get it one day.
It worked for Andy Dufresne to have his library set.
yeah, that's right. Just remember, what's the old saying? You do you, brother.
We'll keep trying.
All right. Let me ask you one question.
And I would say too, if you don't mind, this is scheduled to go to BOMA tonight per the approval of waiving the 2-week rule, because
Right.
the grant window is the 1st through the 31st. And with us canceling the first BOMA meeting in August, we didn't want to get caught having like a 5-day window at the end
When
of the
is
month.
that meeting in August? Do you
Which-
know when that is?
That we've canceled the first one.
August 8th, I believe.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's wonderful. That's really good. Okay. Any other discussion? Oh, this was what I was going to ask you. I'm just so happy. I'm happy every other Tuesday night. What am I saying? Anyway, let me say this. Well, I'm happy every day. So anyway, if we have any funds left over from the grant, are we able to apply them elsewhere?
There would not be any funds left
Okay,
over.
I
It
got
would be
It'd be
strictly for this
what
project.
it is. Okay, thank you very much. All right, any other further discussion on this? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? All in favor of resolution 2023-31, resolution authorizing the city, the Parks and Recreation to apply for the Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthy Place Grant, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it passes unanimously.
So we'll send it to BOMA with a recommendation for approval.
That is correct. Tonight, we will do that, because I don't think anybody will object to adding this to the agenda. It's really a good thing. I know, how many times we've done this? 3
This will be
now?
4.
4? Okay, yeah.
So you'll add it to the agenda.
Well, if the mayor doesn't do it, I will raise my hand.
It's already on.
It's already on
Oh, it
there,
is on
but
there.
he'll have to say pursuant to waiving.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, he'll probably say that at the time, but if not, we'll jump in and say something about it. Resolution 2023-32 is a resolution authorizing the city's Department of Parks and Recreation to apply for a property conservation grant with public entity partners. Do you have any?
You want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a grant we've gotten the last 2 years from our city's insurance carrier. We've used it to purchase security cameras throughout the parks, and we would like to apply for it again. It is a 50-50 grant. So basically, we're allowed to apply for up to $4,000 from them. So we would look to do a $8,000 project. And the funds are already in place in the FY24 budget. There was a amount of $250,000 set aside to apply for small grants like this, where we wouldn't have to come back and do an ordinance to appropriate funds to do it. So our cost would be $4,000, and we hope to get $4,000 from PEP.
Right, okay.
What's infrared thermography?
I have no idea, but it's on the list of things we can buy.
Sounds
I don't know.
We don't know what it is?
I don't know what it is. I can tell you I won't buy it if I don't know what it is.
So these are things that we can buy.
Could buy, yes. Yeah.
But-
Those are all listed on their application.
So security fencing, we have some needs on some fields for new fencing, don't we?
Yeah, but that's not security fencing. That security fencing would be like for crowd control at events and things like that.
Pig Fest.
And we could, I mean, it's, sometimes it's easier and even cheaper to rent that stuff than buy it and have to store it at times. Or get somebody to donate it.
Is the $4,000 for this, is this in your budget? Are we gonna have to amend the budget?
No, there was a $250,000 line item in the budget for grants
Okay,
this year.
okay.
So it would be coming out of that specifically because of these little things where we could avoid going back and amending the budget.
Good, okay.
How much time do we have on this?
We have time. This will be on BOMA the end of August.
Okay. All righty, any further discussion? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote on resolution 2023? Anybody need to repeat it?
I don't think you had a motion in a second.
Did you move it?
I thought you moved it.
Well, we can do it just in case. Motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right, there's been a proper motion, proper second. And my apologies if there wasn't one. All in favor of the resolution 2023-32, a resolution authorizing the city's Department of Parks and Rec to apply for property conservation grant with a public entity partner, signify by saying aye. I'll oppose, it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
On to other agenda items. Let's go with, yes.
Before we do that, are you gonna leave or are you gonna stay?
You can say.
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
Just gonna look up infrared thermometer.
Is it not about infrared? Is
No, no. So we started sanding the fields, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And which ones did we sand?
Soccer was first.
All the soccer fields? Does that include volunteer?
Yes.
Okay. And,
They're at Drake's Creek the last 2 days.
okay. And that includes what, punching holes and then putting sand in?
We punch the holes for
Okay.
aerification. They'll put the sand.
Okay,
God and us will water.
okay. What about the rugby fields?
Rugby's on the schedule. It'll be done in early August.
So will all the fields, I guess all soccer?
All of
rugby?
soccer, volunteer park, Memorial Park, rugby, football, and the high school fields, baseball, softball, soccer at Drake's Creek. And if we have any sand left, we'll do some more, but those will be taken care of first.
And I apologize, I didn't brief you that I was gonna ask these
That's fine.
questions, but what about Heritage Park? What's going on out there? And what is our ongoing expense of maintaining that park?
Our expense right now is we mow it. We mow it.
Parks, mows it?
Parks mows it. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Well, I think we actually do contract out the house part, but we mow the farm part. We have no other expenses right now other than electricity
To the house?
and water to the house. There are some upgrades. It's funny you asked, Ashley. Asked Jesse about that today. About 2 or 3 years ago, Public Works had recommended doing some things to the windows and roof and different things to keep it from becoming into disrepair. I think we probably need to look at that over the next year.
Are we using that building for anything?
The house is used. We have things we store in there. Beautiful Hendersonville stores things in there. Beautiful Hendersonville meats in there. Friends of Indian Lake meat in there. We use it when we have events like cross country races. We'll open it up for the bathrooms. This coming week, the Friends of the Library are parking there and having an event down the street. I mean, the house is not used daily. No.
Okay. And that's under the Parks Department, right?
Correct.
Heritage. And do we use that area for anything, for concerts, for anything?
We've not used it for a concert. We have had events there.
Okay.
We've had the Friends of Indian Lake host an annual event there. Like I said, we have cross country races there. There have been other things there. We've had the great inflatable race was there.
Okay.
But on a regular basis,
Sounds like
it's not
fun.
there. We've had a wedding there, believe it or not.
Okay.
It's on the list of things people can come to the Parks Board and submit to have an event.
It's just such a great facility. I hope that we can use it more for events and things to take the strain off other parks.
Sure.
The last question is, we finished all of the roofing right at Sanders Ferry Park. You know, the shelters, all of that's done and we're
It did.
finished there, right?
Right before a tree came down.
Yeah, and then a tree fell on the restroom by Shelter 3 last week, so we got to redo that roof.
Okay, that's
That'll be an
insurance.
insurance claim.
Yeah, okay.
But yes, sir, that is finished. There's still around $40,000 in a project account to improve Sanders Ferry. We had put out a bid to add HVAC to the restrooms there, which will enable us to leave those open year round, which will be a huge plus for people that play disc golf and the boaters, especially who don't like using a portable in the winter. That will be helpful. And then we currently are in the middle of an archaeological, however you say that, survey that the Corps required us to do before we could look into adding city sewer to the restrooms.
Maybe we can use the infrared for that.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
All right, good. That's all the questions I had. I wanted to grab it before Andy left.
All righty. Let's go back to trash misses from 518 or 714 to 518. Please.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of extra time included in this month's chart just to kind of show the trend, but the count for the last month is actually 320. The 508 is not reflective of a 30-day count. It is up. We have had some, Waste Pro's been having some issues with trucks being down and staffing issues. They've had some new staff on different routes, so there have been more misses there. I don't think they've exceeded the threshold for the 24-hour misses. They do, we still get the calls. These are reported misses, but they have been going back in most cases than the 24 hours to collect those. So that's where we stand for them.
So any citizen that calls in a complaint that they've been missed, they're tallied in this number.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Actually, I thought it'd be higher because I got several from Alton Creek.
Yeah.
Where they had to come back the next day to do it, so.
Yes,
Okay.
they have missed some areas where they've had to go back the next morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're under the threshold.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions on the trash? Okay, let's go on with the waste service collection about the extension of contract.
Yeah, so after our last meeting, Waste Pro did come back and kind of give some I wouldn't say they're not in writing, so I would say
Right.
fairly loose terms to possible extensions. So I'm just here to update on what they shared. I believe it could have an impact on their competitiveness and bid, which is what their concerns were previously. But they said that for a 1-year extension, they would not be able to consider that at our current service level for
Right.
any less than $26 a house, which is more than double than what we're paying right now. And then they would consider a 5-year extension if the first year they saw the 35% increase. By the second year, they would need to be at the $26 per house. And then the third year through the 5th year would need to be increased based on CPI. So
It's kind of that basically what we thought it was going to be actually.
So help me calculate for 5 years, what kind of increase are we talking about? Aggregate.
that's a little difficult to, I'm not sure what the CPI will be in those last 3
Sure.
years, but at least 100% increase, or probably more like 120% increase possibly. Or more.
So they're interested in extending 1 year, but for 100% increase for 1 year.
Yes,
They'll give us a little sweeter deal if we extend it 5 more years. But the increases are hefty, especially for the first 2 years.
yes.
That's what we asked.
Well, how do you feel?
Well, it's kind of what we anticipated. And I appreciate you asking me. I think we're still going to have to go out for bid on it to see what if other vendors will say on this. And I think that's very, very important with waste collection. And we'll just have to see. I mean, my personal feeling is on the 1 year, that's not really much. I mean, it's really not. The 5-year plan, they are sweetening the deal, but I don't know. We might have to go into some really hardcore discussions about that. But we'll just have to see, what it looks like on the other vendors, I think. I mean, how do y'all feel about it?
Well, right now, we're still having a shortage of labor and materials, so we're paying a super premium right now.
Right.
However, it is coming down. So if you sign a 5-year deal like that and the market corrects, you could still be paying super
More,
premium
yeah,
prices
more
after
than
4
what
or
you-
5 years.
That's, I agree with that. That's kind of where I was heading. I didn't want to get into it, into detail, but I agree with that. Because we may, if everything, after we have our feelers out and it feels like that it may be, because a lot of that stuff, a lot of these contracts are like that. It's what we feel, at the time, what the future's going to hold for the city of Hendersonville. Eddie, how are you on?
Well, with the first year 100% increase, right now, what do we pay to Waste Pro a year?
A year,
Estimate. 6
roughly
million?
3.5 maybe.
Okay, so that would double it to 7 the first year. Yeah. And we don't have anybody from finance here, but our budget can't sustain that, can it? To double the trash without cutting other services or cutting other funding.
For $2 million, we would have to severely cut something, and the easiest place to cut would be on a special project or paving. Or you'd have to raise taxes to the equivalent for that amount. That's the only way I could see handling an increase like that. And we can't extend the contract and change the type of service. We would have to go back up for bids.
Yeah. Mark, I like you. I think we have to put it out for bid.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we can tell the citizens that we tried every way in the world we could to get a better price. We put it out and this is the low bid. So to me, the whole lot, the difficult thing is to structure the bidding process. That's going to be the key to this, having a lot of different options.
Yeah.
So Bowman can look at that and citizens can weigh in on what we actually offer.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
by all means.
So talking about getting citizen input, that's the purpose of the town hall meeting that I mentioned to y'all by email a couple weeks ago. We think we have that scheduled for August 8th. Not quite positive on that yet. It's 6 o'clock. The purpose of that is take input. It'll be a little bit of education, but mostly to take input from people. We did something similar 5 years ago when we switched. I think it makes sense to tell people these are options.
Oh, yes. Yes.
What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, me or anybody, I agree with it. I think that's a good idea because, the citizens need to know, that we've legitimately tried to lower the cost of trash pickup.
Yes.
But we kind of have been, and I know this is like, well, it's not mean spirited by any means, but we've been trying to tell people, for months now that that's coming, and we all knew it. And we tried to notify not only the board, but the citizenry that it is coming. So I think this is just one next step, but I think that's a good idea, Mayor, to do that, to just let them know again, what the situation that we have.
What will be the agenda for the public meeting?
Not real sure yet. We're still working on it.
And will it be here?
No, it'll be. We think that it's going to be at First Methodist. We're still. That's what's up in the air. We still haven't confirmed that.
And will you be running it or will staff be running?
It'll mostly be staff.
Okay. Yeah. But mainly it's to elicit the public's comments on the garbage, and to also ask, what services they would like to see offered by the city. Is that about the gist of it?
There's a possibility we're way off in what we think that people want, especially with so many new residents the past couple of years. And so this gives the opportunity to find out.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea, public meeting. And that fits in the timeline, right?
It does, yes.
That we approve.
We planned for this, yeah.
Okay. Talk trash.
All righty.
We'll get plenty of notice out for that too, won't we, Mayor? And I want to put it out on all of my Facebook posts.
Jesse's going to mention it. You're welcome to mention it tonight. Jesse's going to mention it.
Sure, yeah, I'll let them know. That would be good, because the more that we just keep repeating it over and over and over, it's better. Because people will say, what did he say? And it's too late.
Yeah.
And they'll say, oh, that's, he said it again.
Yeah.
So it's looking on August 8th at what time?
August 8th at 6. We don't. I don't want to say exactly where yet. We're
Okay,
still.
I'm going to say at a location to be determined. So I just won't even mention that part of it. Unless Jesse wants to do that, it doesn't matter to me. Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Did we decide 6?
Also,
Okay.
do you have a different time?
Let me get back to you on that. Thank you.
That's fine. Yeah, I got you. I understand. Okay, limb and brush collection update.
So last month we had just restarted the routes. For 2 of the zones, we're approximately halfway through those routes, and then the Indian Lake Peninsula takes a little bit longer usually. So that one's probably about a third of the way through that route. As you know, we've had a couple more storms that will probably net additional volume for us. I did put together an RFP for on-call limb collection in the event that the volumes exceed what we can collect with our staff and staffing level without hiring additional people. That will be advertised in the paper on Thursday. If we were to move forward with utilizing those services, likely we would need an appropriation for professional services to fund that. But that is an option if we keep experiencing these events.
I mean, I know, I love summertime, but God, as soon as that gets over, then we get freezing weather, and then the trees will be bright,
Yeah.
It's just,
Okay.
we're gonna catch it one way or the other, but I think that's a good idea, I think Public Works Committee's been advocating about that, having an on call about that, and unfortunately, it's arrived, and I think that's a real good idea. I don't know how the rest of the committee members feel. Yes, sir, Mr. Gill.
I'm not a committee member, but I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Would it be possible to include as an alternate or maybe even a separate RFP, tree trimming and removal service?
Public Works has a contract. We can share that with you.
I'd love to have it.
Yeah.
A day rate or a
It's
per tree or,
yeah, it's basically per tree based on the diameter and difficulty with accessing and removing.
I learned about that.
Yeah.
be fantastic.
Do you have a list of vendors?
It was put out to bid. We just have one annual contract holder for that right now.
Do you have a list of all the contracts and vendors that all have active contracts?
No, not currently.
No.
Yeah.
Would the golf course be able to use that vendor
Mhm.
through the rate?
I mean, we have a pretty good, reliable vendor that usually can get to us at a good rate, but there's times when some things like this happen, it'd be good to probably be able to take advantage of that too.
So Sarah, we've got 3 routes, correct? A, B, and C.
That's right.
So we have 3 crews. We have
Yeah.
3 are they called knuckle trucks?
That's right, knuckle booms.
We just bought a new one, right?
We
But that
haven't
replaced-
received it yet,
we
but
haven't.
yes.
Is it going to replace one that is currently, or are we going to add that to a new route?
It would replace one that we have a lot of problems
Okay.
with. Some of the
It's an old
equipment
one.
is old,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty old.
So I've had some, or I had one citizen ask me, has the city ever considered a grinder? Instead of picking up the limbs and
Mhm.
transporting them, just have a grinder truck and throw the limbs in there, the ones that can,
Mhm.
and possibly be more efficient. Have you looked at that and have you ruled that out?
I specifically have not. I can't speak with certainty if any of my predecessors have evaluated that or not. I do know at one point they bought a large bandit grinder for, they were going to, once the limbs were delivered to Forest Retreat, they were grinding them there, and they had some thoughts on maybe potentially selling or working out agreements for the mulch, things like that, and it did not work out. To be, it was more of a loss for the city.
So what's your gut feeling about that as an option to see if we could handle the brush better and quicker? Of grinding it instead of loading the truck and
Yeah.
then going all the way and dumping it and coming back, just grind it, on the spot.
To be honest, I'd really need to look at it. I'm not certain because it would require additional time to grind it while you're waiting there, and then you still have at some point to deliver the loads somewhere. Our current operations. Resource Authority comes in, they have a sub-consultant that comes in and grinds it and they haul it away. And so I think that because they're able to utilize the mulch, I don't know, I'm not sure how that would look. I would just have to evaluate it.
Could we put that on the agenda for the next meeting, a further discussion on the potential of a grinder service pilot, just to see, I just like your staff, Trace and all of them's input.
Sure.
No, that won't work, and here's why. So
Yeah.
I'd like a lot bigger discussion. I
Sure.
always want us to look for better ways to do things.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll have to go in my garage and look because, we visited that years ago and there was a reason, but, times have changed,
Yeah.
since then. We're obviously a bigger city and more people. And I can't remember why we didn't do it. I don't, but it was legitimate, you know, it wasn't
Yeah.
something that I was either for or opposed to. I just didn't know that much about it.
Yeah.
But that's been several years ago. But I can go back in my garage and look for it. I just gotta go back in time to remember when that was.
Mhm.
But I was trying to think who the Public Works chairman was at the time. But it's been a long time ago. Anyway, I think that's a good idea, Eddie, and we'll put that on there for our next meeting.
Yeah.
That's very important. Okay, any other further discussion on limbs and brush? I know that we still are having, as Eddie alluded to in his conversation, and I have too, we still have problems with that because we probably need to go one, you know, it's like as soon as we are getting a handle on it, we get a storm.
Right.
And then it just, you know, when
Yeah.
it rains, it pours, you know. So just, you know, tell our guys to keep pushing, you know, and just try to get it back some resemblance of normalcy. Let's go with any other discussion on the lemon brush collection. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and go with the light synchronization update.
This project is still moving along as expected. They are still anticipating being on schedule and finishing up by their termination timeline. They do have all of the controllers and the cabinets, which is really great. We had a couple of cabinets that we were having issues with specifically because of the controllers being so old. And so they are finishing the installation of the fiber down Main Street. And then I think that's when they'll be moving over to Anderson, making those connections. So it's been moving along.
Okay, good. Any question about that tonight?
What about phase 2?
Phase,
We put the bid out for that. Yep.
no, we are still working through the final detail to get the NEPA approval so we can get notice to proceed for final design and construction.
I mean, we've been waiting for what, 3 months on NEPA? So what's
Yeah.
what's the holdup, Sarah?
Yeah. So
That's the state, right?
it is. Yeah. The issue we ran into is their cultural services division. So that when they're looking at the NEPA application for a project, it goes out to, I don't know, maybe 8 different divisions within TDOT for review. And then they wait for comments back from all of them. And we were held up by cultural services because their archaeologist was concerned that if we had to install additional conduit with this project, which it's not even guaranteed we would have to, but once they, dig in, if the conduit is at capacity and we need to install another piece, that area being disturbed may not have been disturbed previously and could have sensitive archaeological impacts. So they have one archaeologist, and they made that comment, and we were working through trying to satisfy that and to get a meeting with that archaeologist, and then they left the state.
They quit.
They quit.
So we don't have an archaeologist now, so it should go smoother, shouldn't it?
It should. So we were able to secure a meeting with the Cultural Service Division, not the archaeologist, but there's,
Sure.
the umbrella, basically. And so they said, fine, if you provide, because the comment was made, if you provide such and such level of documentation, we will consider that accepted and be able to move forward. And so we are in that was last week. And so we are compiling what they've requested and then should be able to hopefully get the notice to proceed. So
Where did that archaeologist go?
I don't know. But
Just leave it at that.
it's tedious. It's very tedious.
Why don't you dig into that and find out what it is?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Maybe Alabama, Mississippi area somewhere.
Gracious.
Never know. All right. Any other discussion on the light signal? The good news is everything's ongoing. That
It is.
they're working towards that, and then we're also working on phase 2
yes.
contract to get it out for bid. So that's in a way. I mean, that's not that's okay. I mean, we're happy for it, but we could be happier.
Right.
So, all right, Saunders Ferry Road, was there any other discussion on the light synchronization? Hearing none, we'll go on to the Saunders Ferry Greenway update.
That project also has been making, I think, exciting progress lately with the boardwalks. The largest boardwalk when we had our progress meeting this last week was approximately 50% constructed. There is a potential, I think I mentioned before, for a contract extent. They probably will submit a change order for additional contract days because TDOT's specification for landscaping is between November and I believe April maybe. And so we will see a request for extension for that, for the landscaping. But then also they did have some are built into the contract for TDOT specs. They did have some additional weather days with additional work for undercutting. They've had some areas where they just couldn't compact it, and it was kind of muck. So they have to dig all that out and put in shot rock and build it up. So I believe nothing is certain. They haven't submitted their final request. We discussed it in the meeting. We'll probably see approximately a 50-day request to extend that contract. But they've been really great to work with. The contractors have.
Still on budget.
So far.
Have we had to spend our contingency on that project?
We've had 2 very minor change orders to date. So I think both of them were, I think less than $10,000 between the 2 of them.
So we've still got some contingency money.
Right. So it's been a good project so far.
Good. I like to hear. We've all liked to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
All righty. We are now on to other businesses. Anybody have anything they'd like to raise to the Public Works Department? Steve?
I've got some.
I've got one, but it may be the same thing you are. Go ahead, though.
What's the status on the pickleball?
Pickleball, we reviewed draft plan set. Was it last week Friday we met with the design consultant and talked through some of the questions they had to make sure that they were clear on the way forward. When did she state when they were anticipating a resubmittal?
We should have completed construction documents within the next month.
Okay.
And hopefully be ready to go out to bid. They're in the space at the senior center. We can fit 8 courts. So we're going to design it to fit what could go there and design it to be a first class facility. And we'll put it out to bid. And if we need to scale it back based on what funds we have, that's what we'll do. We may have to build them in phases or whatever, but we're going to design it to do it first class like we do everything else.
So will that phase include lights?
Mhm.
Okay. On all 8?
It will. Yes, sir.
As far, you don't anticipate coming back for additional money. We're gonna try to build it for what we've allocated, right?
We're going to design it for 8. And if we put it out to bid and 8 is going to be over what we've got allocated, we'll see if we can build 4.
Yeah.
But if 2 would be more than what we currently have budgeted, we may need to request additional funds at that point.
If we can't build 4 for what we budgeted, then we'll have to come back to you all and say, what do we want to do here?
Yeah.
Do we want to drop back and punt, not do it, whatever.
Well, how much, just because I honestly cannot remember, how much have we allocated? Right offhand.
It's right around 600. Then we had
That's
design and architecture fees. There is some ability to tap into some different funding for certain parts of it, but not the whole project, obviously.
But the 600 included parking lot at Memorial Park, correct?
When we got the first estimate at Memorial, we included parking improvements and 8 courts for about 1.2 million is what it was estimated.
So we don't have any requirements for parking lot.
No.
We're going to
there are some parking improvements we'll have to do over there to accommodate ADA accessibility. But no, we won't have to build a whole new parking lot.
Second thing, Sarah, and I told Jesse I was going to ask you these questions. On Indian Lake Boulevard, there is a marker pedestal
Mhm.
near the McDonald's that has been upended. Looks like a car hit it or something.
yeah.
And it's been upended for about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So I know that's not the city's responsibility. It's the, so what can we do to try to, if nothing else, get it out of the way, clean it up?
Yeah.
It looks bad.
Yeah. So the Property Owners Association has been in contact with both Public Works and Planning on several issues along Indian Lake Boulevard. One of them is the condition of the medians through certain section. They just took over maintenance for those. The other is the monument, which I've emailed back and forth a couple of times. The update I got today was that their State Farm Insurance, their insurance company, is handling that, and they are currently evaluating proposals for repair for the monument. So I think they're planning to repair as opposed to replacing it. So I don't know that they will remove it, but he said they should have more information later this week.
But we're following up on that.
We are, yes, sir, yeah.
What about the roundabout at Saundersville Road? Is it on schedule?
It is not on schedule. With the weather we've had over the past couple of weeks, right when they were trying to reach compaction and pour, curbs and pave, they've had some delays associated with that. We met with them this afternoon. Jesse and Public Works met with the contractor as well as the developer and discussed the progress. They're going to reevaluate their timeline and by tomorrow provide us their best case timeline. We are going to be working with police and asking them to coordinate with school transportation on how we can work together for the first week of school if they're not able to make that August 1st opening.
It's a major traffic issue for
It
the
is.
city. So who's Public Works working on that?
Stephen is
Stephen?
leading it, yes. Mhm.
I hope we just don't accept that they're going to need 3 more months. I
No,
hope that we will not accept and that we will push them
we are.
for a quicker date. I mean, I know they're
Yeah.
going to ask for a lot longer than they really need. So I hope we'll negotiate tough on that because it's got traffic in a snarl there.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why we asked them to come in for the meeting so we could have a face-to-face and discuss how important this is to the city and what kind of issues it will cause for school circulation specifically.
Yes.
I mean, everybody, but specifically that there are a lot of buses that actually run through that area. So we are actively pushing for a quicker opening.
The last 2 issues is the intersection of Indian Lake and Stop 30. That's over the creek there.
Mhm.
I understand we're in the right-of-way acquisition phase.
We are.
How is that progressing? Have we acquired some right-of-ways?
We have not. There's a lot of kind of groundwork for the right-of-way phase that has to be done. So as they're going through the title reports and pulling that, there's a cemetery over there that they have to work with TDOT to make sure that they're comfortable with potential impacts to that. And then they go through, staking, preliminary discussions with property owners, even before they do appraisals, all of that kind of groundwork. So they've been working through that. They are waiting on TVA for review of one issue. They have a major tower, if you will, over there that they had some concerns about how close the project limits were. And they asked for a little more detail. Our consultant has provided that. We're waiting on their response. Once all of the parcels are finalized, which I think that's the last outstanding situation, then they will go through and do all of the appraisals at one time. So they're approximately 65% through the right-of-way portion. Now, how long it takes for negotiations after appraisals are provided, that's a little unpredictable.
If TDOT is in charge of that.
No, our design consultant has a sub-consultant that does the appraisals and acquisition, like kind of manages that portion. But everything has to be approved by TDOT. So every step of the process will go back and for review and approval
Mhm.
by TDOT.
Well, I'll ask you a question off the record.
Okay.
About that after we adjourn. What about the right-of-way acquisition for Durham Farms? And the reason I ask this, there's a lot going on in that area with the soccer, with all
Yeah.
the soccer issues and traffic and schools. And so, I'm being asked, when are we going to start seeing dirt moved?
Yeah.
We saw the stakes and then it just
Yeah.
evaporated. So what about Durham Farms?
Sure. So,
Same thing there?
well, it's a little bit different, slightly different, because it's right now, this right-of-way phase is just a city managed project. There's no federal dollars associated with this phase. So it is a little bit different, but we, in the coordination with property owners, we heard a lot of concerns from some of those that would be most impacted. So our consultant went back and reevaluated how we could change some of the drainage to kind of minimize the impacts to the property owners that they would see. So they just submitted the revised plans 2 weeks ago. They've been resubmitted to the utilities because utilities are also a big piece in the timeline for the construction of this project. And so we are waiting for the response back from the utilities on their timeline impacts based on the revisions, because the utilities will also have to obtain right of way. So all of that said, we've had, I think, 2 property owner coordination meetings, and then we met with some of the property owners individually to discuss those impacts one-on-one. We did execute an amendment with a consultant to bring in a sub-consultant to manage the acquisition process.
Does it look like we're going to have to exercise eminent domain?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think that we were able to make some amendments that appease some of the concern, not all of it, but
I'm just trying to push
yeah.
to get some things started in that
Right.
area.
Just to set the expectation, though, we will not break ground for at least a year on that project because of the utility. It's just that's how long it's going to take them to budget, because they are in the public right of way, so they have to relocate at their expense. So
Just to let staff know, until we get these projects done,
mhm.
I can't support developing Durham Farms Park until we get some improvements in traffic in that area, to throw a lot more traffic in that area. So just to let you, that's why I'm pushing,
Sure.
that those traffic improvement
Yeah.
situations. Okay. Thank you.
I understand. I do schedule, I have regular check-in meetings with these consultants, and I really try and keep the urgency on these projects. So I understand. I'm with you. Want to see them come to fruition.
And are you staffed? Are you fully staffed?
No, we're not fully staffed. The traffic engineer position still is vacant. Had interviews today for the property maintenance manager, and interviews tomorrow for the traffic signal technician. So hopeful for both of those positions, but the traffic engineer still remains vacant.
And Andy, are you fully staffed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all.
Were those positions that you're interviewing for, were they included on the salary survey?
Enough.
Yes.
So we know how much.
Yes, that's right.
Good job.
All right, anything else? One other thing, when you do meet with the roundabout folks tomorrow, and when you all get a date certain on that, if you could just email this committee and let us know, because all of us have been asked, that question. We've kind of left that. We kind of assumed with the storms that we've been having with the weather, that's probably what has happened, with that project. But when you meet with us more, if it's okay with everybody else, you don't have to go into detail, just do like a 30-second, real quick email to us would be good.
Okay.
And I think just for this committee, you don't have to to let us know, where we stand on it. Because I figure y'all can work something out on it. Yes, sir.
And it might be, Mr. Chairman, it might be good in your report to remind everybody that tomorrow and Thursday, Winston Hills
Yeah,
Parkway there, that's from the railroad track to Main Street.
it's a great point.
It's going to be closed, and that's going to be tough As much-
It's gonna be closed, from the railroad track.
to Main Street. That's between
Yeah.
the two gas stations.
From 9 to 3.
They're going to be paving it. So
Okay.
they're going to be diverted, I guess, to Indian Lake.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm glad we're doing it. I'm glad
Yes.
we're getting it done.
Yeah,
That would be
this
nice.
was a long time coming, a lot of coordination.
And Casey put out a nice,
So,
and I shared it on all of mine.
WHIN is sharing it also.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, can I return to something
Yes,
that y'all
sir.
discussed earlier?
Yes, sir, please do.
7 o'clock on 8/8. So that's the trash town hall.
Okay.
I am trying to avoid calling it talking trash talking, something like that. Just trash town hall. It seems to be.
All right, August 8th at 7 p.m. And you don't want me to say the location yet, right?
Not yet. MSW town hall.
Call it the
Municipal
refuse
solid
century.
waste.
Yeah. All right. 7 p.m., August 8th.
Yes.
Okay. Good deal. All right, thank you very much. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to discuss? Anything good? I know the city, which I'm very proud of and very happy with the professionals that we've got running the city. We have a lot going on. And I appreciate Andy always letting us up, giving us an update on what's going on with the Parks Department. Because it just seems like, I don't know how you get any sleep, because every day there's something going on.
Special events on the weekends.
I mean, y'all are rocking it, and I really, really appreciate that. It just shows you how active this community really is, and I appreciate that. And of course, Public Works, we never have it. Every day is different in Public Works. There's always something going on, and I really appreciate the efforts with the heat that's going on out in our weather, so crazy as it is. And being 90 degrees of weather one day, and then pouring rain and storms in the afternoon. And it's just crazy. So I really appreciate the effort you all put. And the aldermen, you guys just keep knocking it out of the park with the knowledge that you bring to the board. I don't know that I've ever really told you that, but I've had a lot of soul searching in terms of where we're all going, and I cannot express my gratitude for you guys, that I work so closely with you, and the knowledge that you bring to the board. In all my history of the board, I think it's the best that we've ever had, and and I just thank you for that, and keep it coming. And other than that, if there's not anything else, we'll go ahead and just need a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Second.
All right, there's been a motion, and it is 6 o'clock.
All right.